Now it's a good time to take you back to Parliament. The Appointments Committee has officially started sitting. The Minority Leader, Alexander Fayomake, has taken his seat. Ahmed Ibrahim has also taken his seat. The vetting proceeding is about to commence. Let's listen in.
9 o'clock, but owing to some intervening circumstances, we had to reschedule to 10 o'clock, and eventually it's about 11 that we are starting. So on behalf of the committee, I sincerely apologize to our revered guests. So accept my apology on behalf of the committee. Honourable members, the purpose of today's meeting is to vet our nominees, and we are starting with the Minister Designate for Local Government, Chieftaincy, and Religious Affairs. Deputy Whip of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, in the person of Ahmed Ibrahim, Member of Parliament for Banda. You are welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I'll give the floor to the ranking member, if you have any comment.
Chairman, thank you. Honorable colleague, you're welcome. And as the chair said, there were some few matters that we needed to address. So we apologize to you and your guests for the late start. Be assured that we would be very constructive in this morning's engagement without any prejudice. That's all I want to tell you. Thank you so much.
Honourable members, I'll give the opportunity to the nominee to tell us briefly. Clerk, administer the nominee to the oath, and then thereafter he will tell us something brief about himself, and then we can proceed with the questions.
I hereby administer the oath.
I, Ahmed Ibrahim,
Swear by the Almighty God
swear by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
touching the matter in issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Candidate, tell us about yourself in 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, Nananom, the leadership of the various faiths.
Honorable nominee, you are not addressing Nananum. You are addressing this committee. Chair, and that is enough.
Thank you, distinguished leader, for bringing my attention to where I head. Mr. Speaker, as we all know, I am Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim. I was born in Sunyani on 6 May 1974. Had my basic education in Bana. I hail from Bana in Kro. I attended my secondary education in Sunyani Business Secondary School, A-level in Sunyani Secondary School, University of Ghana for Bachelor of Arts, Political Science with Philosophy, then Institute for Public Administration and Management, GIMPA, for Masters in Business Administration, Finance Option. Then certificate course in Institute of Public-Private Partnership at Washington, Virginia, on regulatory impact assessment and cost-benefit analysis. Mr. Speaker, in 2009, 7th January, I happened to be given the privilege to represent the good people of Tyne as the MP for Tyne. Then after 4 years, that constituency was divided. Then I shifted to Banda. And since then, I have been, this is my 5th term as a member of parliament. I was elevated to serve in the leadership of the Parliament of Ghana in 2013. And Mr. Speaker, since 2013, I have been privileged to be the longest serving deputy whip in the Parliament of Ghana. So, Mr. Speaker, these are few things that can be said about me, and because you've given me two minutes, may I bring it here if you permit.
Thank you very much. Mesro.
Honorable nominee. Just a
Honorable members, we will proceed to vet the nominee, and I will give the floor to the ranking member.
Honorable nominee, first let me on this your nomination.
Thank you.
We have page 1 of 6, your CV. So you've written the languages spoken, English, Twi, and Nafara. Can you tell me a bit about the Nafara language?
Mr. Speaker, I am Bana by tribe. I come from Bana Inkro. There are 2 dialects spoken by the people, Bana people. The Bana itself represents the name of the towns, but the indigenous people living there are the Libis and the Nafaras. And I am Nafar, and that's the dialect I speak.
So, Honorable Ranking Member, if you understand the language, speak with him.
Where do you live?
Mr. Speaker, I live at Sakumono in Accra.
At Sakumono, is it a rented property or your own property?
Mr. Speaker, by the grace of God, it's my own property.
Do you have a title to the land?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I do.
Your leaseor, or whoever, don't let me talk law, the one who sold your land to you, was he a chief, or it was a state land, or some real estate company that had acquired it and decided to sell to you?
Mr. Speaker, I live in a property that was sold to me by TDC, Tema Development Corporation.
So that is state land. You know, TDC is the custodian of state lands.
Mr. Speaker,
let me finish. Tema Development company.
Mr. Speaker, since TDC is headed by a political head, I agree with you.
And TDC has a standard rate that it applies.
Rightly so, Mr. Chairman.
So there's nothing wrong you owning a property sold to you by state authority. There's nothing wrong.
Mr. Speaker, not all sales are the same.
Please explain. What do you mean by not all sales are the same?
Mr. Speaker, not all sales are the same.
You mean the chairman? You are referring to Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, not all sales are the same.
Yes, and I want you to explain. If you say not all sales are the same, what exactly do you mean?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, not all sales are the same because, like I rightly told you, if you go to where I live, we have two different types of state lands. We have the Ransa site and we have the Tema Development Corporation site. There are illegal sales and there are legal sales. That's why I say not all sales are the same.
I'm only confining myself to the legal sales.
Speaker, it is not, legal sales are not wrong.
Very well.
Since they are legal.
So what I want to put across is this. For instance, if you go to Cantonment, if you go to Laboni, if you go to Roman Ridge, if you enter the Ridge Enclave proper, you see high-rise buildings, properties that are owned by non-Ghanaians, some owned by Ghanaians. Do you think that Ghanaians owning such properties, especially if they are politicians, your own view, would it be wrong for a Ghanaian who is a politician to acquire a property in such an enclave the same way a Lebanese, an Indian, a Syrian, a Turkish acquires the same property from the state?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, that's why I said from the onset that not all sales are the same. Assuming you have, in every business, there are certain things we call trade secrets. And that is why if you are an insider and you turn around to come and buy from that same deal, I don't think you may be doing a great service to the company where you work. It is in that background that it may be perceived as being wrong. But if, like for instance, just as we are here, excuse me for my word, you may be in opposition. You are not in government. You have no idea about what is happening in government. Therefore, before you have access to procure some of those things, it may be through certain rigorous opportunities. So if that happens, like the other so-called foreigners or strangers that you mentioned, I may have no wrong with that, because there are also Ghanaians who have access or buy access or property in other countries. So that's my view about it. Okay, Chairman, these are just my intro. I'll leave it here. We'll come back when you are done with that. Thank you so much. Thank you, man leader.
We shall proceed, starting with Honorable Andrews Chiwite.
Okay, I'll see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my leader, Mensro. Yes, we all believe in these statements because my belief is that Honorable Ahmed believes that if you have God, you don't have to fear. If you have God, anyhow. No wonder he is an elder in the Church of Pentecost. Honorable Leader, we all appreciate you, and we believe that where you are going to make a very great mark. President Mama believes in you. We we all believe in you. We have no doubt at all. But Honorable Chair, before I go ahead, I just want you to give me this opportunity to explain this. I serve on the Western Housing Committee as a Vice Chair, and TDC, Thermal Development Company, they build houses and sell to the general public. You don't need to have connection before you own a house or before you buy a house from TDC. So yes, so I just want the general public to know this. They sell land, they sell houses. You can walk in, bargain with them, and buy a house once you have money to do that.
Honorable Chiwete, I am a lawyer, 23 years at the bar. I had a lot of dealings with Thermal Development Corporation, now Thermal Development Company. They are into the business of real estate. They build houses and then offer the houses for sale to the general public. They will acquire land, parcel the land, and grant the same land to individuals who are interested to purchase the land and develop. The whole country is aware about the business of TDC. So proceed to ask your question.
Very grateful. Honorable Leader, my question is, do you think the Common Fund Administrator should report to the local government minister? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Well, I have no further questions, apart from to wish you well. We'll continue to knock at your doors, especially considering where I come from. Solatona Kalba is a rural district, just like your place. And so I will continue to come there until you help me develop Solatona Kalba. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you very much. I will now give the floor to Honorable Atam Hills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Leader, congratulations. And I know you are going to do an awesome job for us at the local government ministry.
Thank you.
Just wanted to ask you a question here. How would you improve the economy around these MMDCAs?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, if you read the Constitution, development of the local economy is one of the core mandates of the MMDAs. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, once given the nod, together with my colleagues and all former ministers of local governance, depending on which party they may belong to, we are going to team up together to make sure that we are able to bring strategies and policies to support the vision of His Excellency the President to improve upon the local economy in every district using comparative natural advantages of the various ministries, because they may not be the same.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you very much. I'll now give the floor to Honorable Martin Ajay Mensah Kosa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate my brother and friend, the Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim. I'm happy for him. He's not too new to this sector, and I believe in his capabilities. I wish him well, and I have no doubt that he would excel. I congratulate you, my brother.
Thank you, my very good brother.
So let me begin with one major concern within local governance practitioners. It has been the challenge of lack of adequate human resource. And I recall lots of discussions came up. I had the opportunity of leading a process to introduce a bill in Parliament to establish the University of Local Governance and Development. Fair to have it that with the expiration of the life of the last Parliament, the 8th Parliament, the bill could not go through. I'm sure you are aware of this. Would you give us any assurances to this committee and for that matter local governance practitioners that you would, given the nod, consider this all-important issue of critical concern to our local governance process?
Mr. Chairman, in fact, the Institute of Local Government Studies being converted into a university, as was envisaged by my predecessor and the past government, was something we all were collaborating to make sure that we do. Unfortunately, time was not on our side, so the bill could not go through. If given the nod, Mr. Chairman, thank God, all the former ministers, like I said, we are all going to team up to work together. And looking at the number of SHS graduates who are knocking on the doors of the few universities that we have in the country, we need more universities. And therefore, it is one of the areas we are going to pursue. So, my brother, you are rest assured, your labor will not be in vain.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, my second question is again on another critical issue within the sector, and it has to do with adequate resources in running the MMDAs and agencies of the ministry or within the sector. Aside the traditional statutory releases that government sends to the MMDAs, would you have any plans of initiating other means of enhancing revenue generation for development within the MMDAs? And then give me one or two examples of what initiatives you would want to put across.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the good question that has just been asked. There are many challenges in the ministry, just as my brother has identified. And therefore, anything that will be done to improve upon the resource base of all the MMDAs is something that we are going to work towards. But, Mr. Chairman, just as I said, we will work together to improve the local economic development of the MMDAs. And I said, based on their economic comparative resource endowed advantages. But, Mr. Chairman, from the day since 2009, ever since I entered this chamber, Minister of Local Government upon Minister of Local Government have all been complaining about one critical thing, and that is property rate. We happen to visit about 154 districts, of which myself and the committee members embark upon. One critical area that we can do, the low-hanging fruit, to make sure that we improve upon the funding of the MMDAs is property rate. So if my brother is asking of just one or two examples, the first example should be property rate. And Mr. Chairman, we were in this house when the budget was passed and property rate was centralized, taking that core function from the MMDAs. The central government could not do it, and therefore it was later suspended and given back to the MMDAs. So when giving the nod, it's an area we are all going to collectively come together. My brother, thank God you are still in Parliament. And one of us is being posted to the Minister of Finance, if approved. The current majority leader who is going also understands revenue generation very well. And the potential of property rate, what it can give to the MMDAs. Mr. Chairman, this is one area that we are all going to work towards. And if all former ministers come on board, practitioners come on board, MPs come on board, together with chiefs now that the various chiefs and traditional authorities are going to be members of the district, I don't think DCEs, MPs, traditional authorities, and opinion leaders in their various districts will sit there and say central government should come to their place and come and collect property rate, and after that give something to them. So it is the quickest and the fastest way of generating revenue at the district level. So we will not centralize it, we will decentralize it, and it will help to enhance their capacity. So that is the first example, my brother, I can give.
Thank you, Honorable Nominee.
Any further questions?
I think I have one more.
Very well, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, my last question has to do with DRIP. The past government, taking cognizance of the fact that we need to maintain our roads, took this initiative. There are various schools of thought. Some believe that the supervision and management of the DRIP program should be placed under the Ministry of Roads and Highways, even though local government owns it. This is grounded on the fear that there could be misuse and the initiative will crumble. I disagree. I think that local government who initiated it should own it. I don't know what the nominee makes of this, but in practical terms, it gives some indication of how he intends to protect and sustain this initiative so that we can achieve the laudable goals that we envisage for the introduction of the DRIP program.
Your response to the question.
Mr. Chairman, the DRIP project or program, District Road Improvement Program, was a laudable one, and it was jointly conceived through the Committee on Local Government, the Parliament leadership, together with the Ministry and Administrator for District Assembly Common Fund. Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, my brother is saying it was owned by the local government ministry. But local government ministry was not part of the procurement. And therefore, there were challenges at birth. And he's asking, how am I going to pursue it? Mr. Chairman, every district chief executive watching me, workers in the Ministry of Local Government watching me, would testify that they have no records of any agreement of the DRIP project. And they have no program, inventory of all the DRIP machines. This is a challenge because it was highly procured at the big house, that the office of the president. So that brought a problem. And therefore, one, there is no management contract. Two, there are no means of spare parts. Three, there are no committees established to take care of them. So if you go, it is fraught with a lot of challenges. And therefore, if given the nod, together with my brother who used to be in the ministry, and together with my team who will be the technocrat at the ministry, we will all work together to make sure that the DRIP program is materialized. Because the machines were procured to improve upon district roads that are not hard. And much money was used. We were common fund in arrest. So you can't use that amount of money on such a program and allow it to go waste. Whether we like it or not, the machines have been procured. And we must put them into good use. Therefore, there must be proper structures, proper agreement, proper monitoring, proper systems to make sure that we have a very good advantage or utility of the machines that were procured. With this, Mr. Speaker, I believe I'm now going there. My brother is here. So we are going to team up. Even on this table, I can count about 2 or 3 local government former ministers. So we have the men on both sides. If we can put everything together and solve Ghana's problems, the problems will be solved.
All right. Thank you very much. I will now give the floor. Very well, if you want to thank the nominee, following your questions, you have to do that immediately.
Let me thank him for the assurances given. I wish him well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honourable member,
thank you, my good brother.
Giving the floor to Alhaji Alhassan Omar. Let me inform the House that there is an urgent issue which I will have to personally address. So I'll take a short leave of you. In my absence, the Vice Chairman will chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Alhaji Omar, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. My good friend and brother, Ahmed, Honorable Ahmed, congratulations. I look forward to working with you and bringing the issues of Zabzugu to your office anytime from today. I have one question. I believe my question may fit to a lot of rural constituencies and districts. And it's simple. Would you consider to decentralize waste management contracts at the MMDA's level? Because we see a lot of contracts, whether they like or not, it comes from the top down. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the question being asked, I'm not privy to any of the waste management contracts. But what I can see is that there were ministerial disalignment, because all over the world, waste management is a municipal function and should be a core duty and responsibility of the MMDAs. Waste practitioners or workers are available in every district and municipality. And therefore, the presence of the sanitation ministry will be properly placed in the Ministry of Local Government, because they have their presence in every district. And once that is done, the problem may not be about contract, it may be about supervision and monitoring. So if the sanitation department of the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development will be strengthened to make sure that they are able to do proper and effective monitoring of sanitation issues, the problem can be solved. Because it is more of monitoring than just contract.
Thank you. I wish you well.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very much. We now have Honorable Muhammad Shaibu.
Mr. Chairman, I'm most grateful. Honorable nominee, congratulations.
Thank you, my good brother.
Your designation, Honorable nominee, Minister of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. I think mention was made of sanitation too. Is that part of it?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there's sanitation as part of it. It's 3 in 1.
Very well. Trust that I will ask no question about your competence.
Thank you, my brother.
You have demonstrated over the years at the Ministry of Local Government. However, what I don't know is the Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs and the sanitation bit. Already we know that one of the biggest ministries is the local government. If we add chieftaincy, religious affairs, and sanitation makes it even bigger. Tell us your take about that.
Mr. Chairman, what I can say is that with your help, I will be able to do it. Simply because 3 ministries are going to be combined to make 1 ministry. It now becomes structural realignment, where coordinators will be positioned at the other ministries that are being brought together with the local government ministry. The sanitation model department will have a coordinator. The chieftaincy department will have a coordinator. And the local government itself will have a coordinator. And there will be a chief director who will be coordinating all these things. So man work or man duty will be to deepen effective supervision and ethical governance. With this, Mr. Chairman, I believe we'll be capable of doing it.
Thank you, Chairman, and thanks for the answer technically. Honorable nominee, there's this vexed issue of a turf war, supposedly, between MMDCs and members of parliament. I'm sure you would have had some experiences. Some parties or political parties even went to the extent of asking MMDCs who have intention of contesting for parliamentary elections to step aside. That tells you that even parties recognize that there's a step forward. Tell us what your take is on this and how you will deal with that as a minister for local government when giving the nod.
Mr. Chairman, the role of DCEs, MMDCs, is different from the role of MPs. And having been a member of parliament for this my 17th year, in my first year, I was given a story, and that is what I can tell my brother here. The current chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Asiedu Nketia, once told me, Ahmed, when you become a member of parliament, don't be looking at what the DCEs are getting. You chose to be a member of parliament. They chose to be DCEs. Concentrate on your member of parliament, and you will go far. But if you are doing your member of parliament duty and you are still looking at what the DCE are getting, they are called chiefs. They are treated as kings, and we are treated as servants. If the servants want to look at what the chiefs are getting, there will be that confusion. In the same way, when the DCE is also looking at what the servant is also getting, he will be thinking of destabilizing that servant. And this has been the source of conflict among DCEs and MPs. But if everybody will look at their jurisdiction, that conflict will be done away with. However, as a minister responsible for local governance, when given the nod, having been a whip in parliament for 12 years, Mr. Chairman, I will not, and I will repeat it, I will not allow any DCE to disrespect any member of parliament. Yeah. In the same way, approved, I will also make sure there's a common platform for DCEs and members of parliament to be able to have frequent meetings for us to understand our various job descriptions. But I've been a whip. There were instances where MPs were caged in Accra for over 9 months. They couldn't go to their constituencies in the name of doing parliamentary business. So if that understanding is not given to DCEs, while the MP is here doing national assignment, the DCE will be rapidly or radically destabilizing the member of parliament. When that one happens, it is not the MP you are fighting. You are fighting the very seat you are sitting on as DCEs. When these things are made clear to the DCEs and the MPs, I think there will be peace. Finally, Mr. Chairman, DCEs who sabotage their MPs in the last elections couldn't win. As a whip, there were many complaints where DCEs were sitting on the common fund of their MPs. Yet still the MPs won. So it is not how you mishandle your MP's common fund that will make the MP lose. DCE, use the money given to you to work. MP, use the one given to you to work. When everybody is to work on our various roles and responsibilities, there will be peace. But once again, I, as a former deputy whip for 12 years, will not allow any DCE to disrespect any MP. That is my word, and you can take it from me.
Thank you, Honorable Ahmed. Honorable Shabu, you have more questions. You have a last question.
You can go, you can go.
Honorable nominee, I can see that members of parliament seated here and those listening to you have an impression that there's going to be some fireworks. And the positive one, of course, in their favor.
Thank you.
My last question has to do with DRIP. Your predecessor is here. He mentioned DRIP. And can you tell us who procured those equipment? In whose name are they procured? Are they assigned directly to assemblies? What's the actual mandate?
It's a chairman, those times, the initiative, and if I'm to go deep into the DRIP, we may even sleep here. Because this is where Parliament held the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund to account for some 3.5 billion Ghana cedis arrests from 2018, 2019, 2020, and up to 2022. So it was that money, arrest, that was supposed to be given to the administrator to procure the machines. Mr. Chairman, you and I will agree with me that when the machines were about to be procured, the Ministry for Local Government was not involved. They were procured at the office of the President. And as I speak to you, not all the money has been paid. The contract, when given the nod, everything will be made clear, and the House will be well informed about the position of the DRIP. It was a good concept, politicized and destroyed at birth, but we can rejuvenate it.
I wish you well, Honorable nominee.
Thank you, Honorable Shabu. It is now the turn of Honorable Vincent Eko Asafua, the MP for Otafu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me first and foremost congratulate the nominee for
Thank you, my good friend.
For his appointment. I know he is going to deliver because being a leader of this House, he has shown the mettle and the intellectual capacity on the floor of the House. So I have no doubt in my mind that the Honorable Ahmed is going to be a very good local government minister. Having said that, I would want to pick your thoughts on two constitutional provisions. Before I got in, I was listening to you, and I think a question was asked you specifically that is the DACF administrator going to be answerable to you? And your answer was in the affirmative. In view of that, if you could turn your constitution to Article 70, if you have your constitution, you could turn it to Article 70 of the 1992 Constitution, 70C, which reads, that is, appointments by the President. The President shall, acting in consultation with the Council of State, appoint. The C is the District Assembly's Common Fund Administrator. If you also turn the same Constitution to Article 2524, which also reads that there shall be a fund to be known as the District Assembly's Common Fund, therefore says that there shall be appointed by the President with the approval of Parliament. So one Constitution giving two different ways as to how a District Assembly's Common Fund will have to be appointed, administrator will have to be appointed. One, it says that with consultation with the Council of State. The latter says that with the approval of Parliament. So since you are saying that the District Assembly's Common Fund Administrator is going to be answerable to you in the event that you are called upon by His Excellency the President to give an opinion as to how this appointment will have to be done, what is going to be your take on this?
The nominee can answer, but I think from what you've read from the Constitution, I don't see any inconsistency. The President must appoint in consultation with the Council of State. I'm coming. I will, but I'm the chair. I'm the chair. 10 of your mic, please. Yes, I know, but the chairman has views, and I have to express them. And so I believe that consulting the Council of State and getting Parliament to approve is not inconsistent. But nominee, I think you can answer that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Chairman. Chairman, yes.
My church member,
Chairman.
You must catch the eye of the chair.
I know.
You have not caught my eye.
Chairman.
Honorable Ahmed, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the question that was asked was, do I think that the Common Fund Administrator should report to the minister responsible for local government? And I answered in the affirmative. But the question was not in reference to the position of law. If it comes to the position of the law, the Chairman, this is the Local Governance Act 2016. It was Parliament previously, the Local Governance Act 455, made the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund to report to the minister responsible for local government. In 2016, Parliament changed the law and made it that Section 129, that the minister, the District Assembly Common Fund Administrator, should report to Parliament and the office of the President. And that is what brought a turf war between the two. And since then, Mr. Chairman, there have been practical implementation challenges. And if a law was passed in 2016 and you've encountered practical implementation challenges, I think the law must be revisited, the defect must be corrected. And it was in that background that when the issue came, I stood with the law. And I told the minister responsible for local governance at that time, you brought the law and amended it. If you now think that the law is giving practical or implementation challenges, let's go back to Parliament and amend the law. So the answer I gave was in connection of how the cure can be given. Because one, during the law was passed in 2016. Honorable Hajia Alima had challenges. Honorable Damboche had challenges. My very good brother who was asking me these questions also had challenges. And, Mr. Chairman, the whole issue is how to resource local MMDs. And it is the minister responsible for local government who has that supervisory rules. So you can't give me job that I should go and fix the thing, and you've taken the pliers and the spanners from me. How am I going to fix it? That is why the former ministers for local governance after the law had those challenges. And Mr. Chairman, I don't want to sound too political, but truly, let's look at the performance of the MMDAs, how DCEs are not feeling comfortable to sit in their various offices because they always complain that greater portion of the DACF is deducted at source. So if the minister is giving control, the minister will get with members of parliament and will make sure that we do proper supervision, because through the committee responsible for local governance, you go and visit and we'll be able to do proper allocation and the right thing will be fixed. So you are right. The question was not what do I think about the position of the law. It said, what is man's opinion? Man's opinion is that, yes, the administrator must respond to the minister responsible for local government to give the ministry the opportunity to be able to do government policies.
Honorable Ahmed, in your answer, you brought out something very important. Okay. You brought out the issue of DACF deductions at source. That is a great worry to the district assemblies. And so I think that as Chief Whip, you have first-hand information of these challenges. So I want you to take the opportunity to tell us what you will do to address it.
Mr. Chairman, the first position is to work together with Parliament, because the approval for the formula for the disbursement of common fund is done by Parliament through a committee of the whole. And thankfully, the person going to be responsible for finance is a former leader of this House who used to champion the releases together with me. And your good self. So this is something that man leaders, including you, used to do. And we are going to deepen it.
Honorable Sefua, do you have any follow-up?
Yes. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get the answer that I wanted to get from my honorable friend, the nominee. Honorable Ahmed, you cannot use an act of parliament, as it were, to meddle a constitutional provision. My question was, there are two constitutional provisions. Those constitutional provisions is determining how one appointment will have to be done. Article 17.
Honorable Asafua, you asked the question, the honorable member has given an answer, that is his honest opinion, he said. So that's why I asked you, do you have a follow-up?
So, no,
if you don't have a follow-up, then
I wanted to pick his opinion about if there is an opportunity for him that has been given to him by His Excellency the President as to how such an appointment will have to be done. My question to him is he going to advise the President to take the route of Article 70 or take the route of Article 252? Or he is going to also prefer to the President that, okay, now that there's a constitutional review committee, you think that even after the appointment, this is the position that I want to take. So, I just want to take his opinion in the event that he is asked as to how this appointment will have to be done, taking into consideration the two constitutional provisions as far as Article 70 and 252 is concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my answer was that my opinion was sought, and I gave my opinion. The question my very good brother is asking is the position of the law. But like he has rightly answered, I answered by saying that together with Parliament, we are going to amend the necessary laws. And then amending the necessary laws, it is not the minister alone who is going to do it. truly, there's a constitutional review committee, like you have rightly said, and which is going to deal with the constitution. But I just wanted it to be made clear that there have been implementation challenges, and those implementation challenges must be addressed. Addressing them will be amendment to the various laws regulating the appointment and the functions of the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund. So I take it on board.
Right. Thank you very much, Honorable Safwa. It's not the turn of Honorable.
I have other questions. I'm supposed to have 3 questions.
Well, I asked you, and when you were starting, I'll give you a chance. I'll give.
My second question to the nominee is, with respect to election of MMDCs, I just want to pick your thought on that. All over the world, there seems to be a certain approval or some amount of unanimity as to election of MMDs. In Ghana, we don't have it that way. Mr. Chairman, can you protect me? I'm receiving bows from all over the table.
Please let the honorable member ask his question.
And so, 1, do you agree to the fact that we should allow MMDCs to be elected? And secondly, does it have to be done on partisan basis? These are the questions I want to ask.
Mr. Chairman, 1, in the first question, I do agree that MMDCs must be elected. The second question is, I disagree that it must be done on partisan basis. And that is the bone of contention between the two sides. We said MMDCs must be elected on non-partisan basis. And you said they must be elected on partisan basis. We sold these two views to Ghanaians. We had 184, you had 88. It means Ghanaians totally agree with election of MMDCs on non-partisan basis. And I believe that if there's any time that this should be done, it should be now.
Thank you, Honorable Safa. It's now the turn of Honorable Rita Odelusewa, MP for La Dadikopon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to congratulate my leader on his nomination by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable Leader, we are aware that MMDAs are supposed to generate revenue to be able to boost the local economy. And as a former MCE, one thing that happens mostly is that there are a lot of leakages in revenue mobilization. And I want to find out from you, how do you intend to work with the MMDAs to ensure that there will be blockage of leakages of revenue mobilization? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, in the first place, we are all moving towards digitization of or automation of revenue generation channels. And therefore, the first solution will be to digitize all revenue generation or revenue collection points at the MMDAs. 2, Mr. Chairman, we must deliver open and accountable governance, where chiefs, opinion leaders, and people residing in a particular jurisdiction of a district assembly will be aware of 1, revenues generated from their electoral areas, 2, revenue generated from their district assemblies, 3, how those revenues have been applied to the various contracts that have been awarded. If we practice a bit of accountability, Mr. Chairman, I think it will go a long way to improve upon the revenue generation of the MMDAs. It should not be a one-man job. It must be a participatory service in nature.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable Leader, I want to find out from you if you will consider recruiting more revenue collectors to support in revenue mobilization. I speak as a typical example, citing my municipality, that Ikotopon. It's a big place, and I believe the revenue collectors there are not enough to be able to go around to collect the revenue to be used by the assembly.
The Chairman, having been a long-standing member of the local government committee, there was a particular exercise where we embarked upon a field work to go to the various MMDAs and identify how much IGF, internally generated fund, they've been collecting annually. The Chairman, it will surprise you. The staff, the amount spent on the revenue staff is more than the amount that is used to pay them. Most of the assemblies. And this was one of our fundings. And therefore, a lot of recommendations were given. And I think the report was taken on the floor of Parliament. And the records are there. So the issue goes beyond just recruitment. Secondly, in that report, we suggested that we employ a number of national service personnel as seated in Accra, some as receptionists, and their services are being needed in most of the MMDAs to collect revenue. So, Mr. Chairman, beyond waiting to get financial clearance from the Minister of Finance to employ revenue collectors, we may have to visit the side of going to the National Service Secretariat, asking for national service personnel and giving them to the various MMDAs, charging them with the responsibility that those who will be so hardworking to be able to collect more revenue to the assembly during their national service time may be recommended for recruitment into this area of revenue collection. If those measures are taken, Mr. Chairman, I think it will help to improve upon the revenue collection of the various assemblies. Because once you employ the person and tell him that you are a full-time revenue collector, the person goes and become, excuse me to say, I don't want to use the word lazy, refuse to work as hard as the commission collectors. And this is the more reason why we must engage national service persons, charge them with responsibility, motivate them with the opportunity to be retained. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I believe will help solve the problem.
Still have the last question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Leader, my last one is, I believe in your capabilities, and I know you are going to work well as the Minister Designate for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. And I trust that you are going to work with our chiefs and religious bodies to ensure that we continue to enjoy the peace that we are enjoying. And I believe that with the Chieftaincy institution, you are going to keep an eye there, and whoever will represent you on that front will give you proper reports so that wherever there are issues, we'll be able to resolve them. On this note, I want to congratulate you again, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, my good sister, Honorable Rita Odolesoa.
Thank you. It's now the turn of Honorable Patrick Yaobuama.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and congratulations to my good friend and brother, and Eddie Obiensru.
Anyhow, thank you, my good brother.
Thank you. Ahmed, I can see a lot of prominent chiefs behind you, and your portfolio includes that of the chieftaincy, our revered chieftaincy institution, which is captured under Chapter 20 of our Constitution, 22. We have witnessed a lot of chieftaincy disputes in this country. Some resolved, some unresolved. Even if you look at the Chieftaincy Act of 1970, provisions were made for the traditional houses to settle disputes. Same repeated under the 2008 Act. The same definition for who a chief is retained, Asante and other paramount chiefs. Their designations and categorizations are there. If you go to the traditional judicial councils, I don't know if you have your Chieftaincy Act with you. Don't worry, I'll assist you. But from section 22 to 30, deals with the jurisdictions of the various houses of chiefs and judicial committees and their roles. The chiefs are not, they don't earn any income. Even their lands, there are issues with other neighbors. Investors do have issues with them. They go and do all sorts of things there. The capacity of the judicial councils to even deal with matters affecting the institution down there, to the extent that they can't even afford the services of lawyers to handle matters for them. Because for them to be able to hire the services of lawyers to deal with issues relating to their paramountcies or schemes requires the services of very good lawyers to handle same. Some ought to be on retainer. How are you going to use your office to resource the various judicial councils to be able to recruit the right lawyers to deal with some of the matters affecting chieftaincy in this country? Because their positions are recognized by the Constitution and also the Chieftaincy Act. Thank you.
Thank you, my very good brother. This is a very sensitive This is a very sensitive area, but as you have asked, it was one of the concerns of the chiefs. In the first place, our distinguished and revered chiefs earn their place by birth. And therefore, as one of our recommendations or suggestions, thank God the chieftaincy ministry is now being merged, it's now taking its rightful position with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. What we are going to do is to consider liaise with whoever becomes the Attorney General and look at how best the Attorney General, together with our revered chiefs, can work together to improve upon the conditions of the lawyers of the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. With that, if the conditions appointment is being done by the Attorney General, the lawyers who are working at the Chieftaincy Judicial Committee and these things will have some side of relief, because they will be entitled to the conditions of service of the lawyers in the Ministry of Attorney General, the Attorney General Ministry. In that way, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will help to retain good and qualified lawyers to support our chiefs. Two, now that we are going to be privileged to establish our own university for local governance studies, one of the courses that are being suggested is that since our revered chiefs earn their positions by birth, it is the responsibility of the state, looking at the sensitive roles that they play, that we give them capacity building training by establishing a course in the University for Local Governance called Royal Academy of Chiefs, where the state will help or facilitate in training and organizing seminars and courses or capacity building courses for our chiefs by giving them the customary, taking them through the customary laws and those things. If that is done, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will go a long way to solve the problem that we have.
The Royal Academy of Chiefs, will it be a department or an academy?
Mr. Chairman, we have University of Local Governance Studies. DCE's capacity will be built. Chief's capacity will be built. Mr. Chairman, if you can't, I'm not a lawyer, but when it comes to law, our lawyers will tell you that when it comes to customary issues, they need to be given special touch. And these are the areas we are going to bring together to form a course that we call Royal Academy for Chiefs.
Very well. Honorable Obama, you have your next question if you haven't. Okay, Honorable Obama, hold it up.
Chairman, I didn't want to do this, but let me. Honorable nominee, welcome.
Thank you, my good friend.
And congratulations. In other words, it will be a faculty for chieftaincy studies. In other words.
Mr. Speaker, that is why the lawyers are there. Because you'll be brought together for us to bring the various subjects and courses together.
Thank you very much.
For now, we just want you to know that we have
you have intentions to run a formal program for our chiefs and queen mothers.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
And thank you for adding the queen mothers.
So, Honorable, please go ahead.
Smart Ahmed. Ahmed, let me turn your attention to your party's manifesto. On, I think it's paragraph 6.31. Your intentions to upgrade. You have not been nominated. You can't sit there and ask questions. Rocks in the Fiamepo. Page 181 of 200. You are proposing to set up, to come out with a formula to implement the plastic waste recycling fund under the Customs Excise Amendment Act. Do you know how much goes into the fund annually? And whether you have an idea of the proposed formula and its distribution? Because I'm sure you are thinking in the light of the DACF formula or the GET fund or the NHI formula with regards to this. But first and foremost, you need to know how much, because this is what you call the baller tax that you spoke against. And now in the manifesto, you are thinking of coming out with a formula under your waste management program, solid waste management program. I don't begrudge you, but I want to have an idea. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that will fall under the jurisdiction of the Minister for Finance. Now that all the taxes are being considered and being realigned, so if you can give me the benefit of the doubt, let's wait for the Minister for Finance to bring the budget latest by next month or next 2 months. Then we'll see the way forward. Once this, for now, it is a policy. Once the calculations and the things have not yet been done, when the Minister for Finance bring it, you and I are here, and we are going to work together to know what to go into it. But for the record, you know, I thought you were going to credit me. We were all part of a three committee made up of 75 MPs who went on nationwide tour to come to propose that there must be a sanitation tax, which is called Bola tax. And Mr. Chairman, you know I was the convener of those 3-member committee. So I thought you were going to credit me. From where we sit, some may speak against it, but it was our brainchild.
Chairman, I don't have any further questions for my friend. I'm needed in the chamber, and I have to beg leave of you. Ahmed, congratulations. I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But Honorable Boama, you know you'll be highly, and your services will be highly needed in my new ministry.
For a fee.
Thank you, Honorable. It's now the turn of Honorable Roxanne Dafiamapo.
Chairman, thank you very much. Chairman, I have a couple of questions for my whip, and it's to enhance his work. No malice intended at all yet. Let's make progress. The key issue for members of parliament and also the assemblies especially, because having had the opportunity to serve on the Public Accounts Committee for 8 years, I've come accustomed to the peculiar problems of the assembly in carrying out their mandate. It's in respect of the late releases of their share of the common fund. And as the sector minister, if this persists, we are going to be bedeviled with this. What innovative means would you deploy to ensure that there are regular releases of these funds to the various assemblies to carry out their mandate from not the Ministry of Finance, but from the administrator?
Mr. Chairman, you and I know that any government that plays with the timely release of this Assembly Common Fund to the MMDs pays the consequences. In 2014, the NDC couldn't pay the third quarter. I was a deputy whip. We spoke about it. We lost the 2016 elections. After that, it was paid. In 2024, the current government also delayed in paying the third and fourth quarter. He also paid the price. And after losing, he has paid. Whether you win or lose, you pay it. So a government that is in power and you want to win your elections, you must pay for your DCEs to work. If they work, the electorate will be happy and they will vote for you. So I'm not going to keep my mouth shut because I'm the minister responsible for local governance. I will continue to work as I used to work when I was a whip and when I was a member of the local governance committee, and make sure there is timely releases of those funds. Thankfully, the person I used to do the work together with, and that was the minister responsible, is now going to occupy the high office of the minister responsible for finance, who is very organized and focused, and who understands he is a 5-time member of parliament. I'm a 5-time member of parliament. We all understand the repercussions of not paying. So if we want the electorates to be happy and retain the government, we'll do whatever possible to make sure the monies are released. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, you asked in connection with the person who sits at the office of the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund. That is going to be a crucial consideration that we must all take due cognizance of. If you consider the role that such a sensitive office plays, the person who occupies it must be a person that will be vetted by this very committee. And it is for that reason that article, the Constitution is clear that this committee must not only vet the minister responsible for local governance, but you must also vet the person who is going to be the administrator for District Assembly Common Fund. So whoever is going to sit there will come before you for vetting. And I believe this question, when it comes, it must also be made clear to him or her.
Beautiful. Now, one problem that the Public Accounts Committee also got confronted with as a result of the Auditor General having to flag it year in, year out, is the issue of the deterioration of assembly offices. A lot of our district assemblies, the structures are in a state of disuse, and it's a problem. They are unable to raise the necessary funds to undertake early renovation, and so as the years roll by, the structures falls into desuetude, as lawyers will say. Your ministry, so these are the existing problems. Desuetude, that's the law term. Disuse. So these are the existing problems for your ministry. How are you going to tackle this with alacrity so that the assemblies, they operate from very good environment, so to speak?
Mr. Chairman, as a matter of fact, there is going to be a radical shift of mindset at the various MMDAs, no matter the cost. I can build a whole district. You cannot be given one building, and you say that within that district jurisdiction, they cannot maintain that one house. I totally disagree. So what we can do when giving the nod is that if you are a district chief executive and you are unable to maintain, repair your own office, then you have no business sitting there. That is a fact. 2, DCEs are not protocol officers. They are local economic development agents. You cannot be sitting there waiting for Accra to bring you money. That will also be tackled. That is why I said we are going to form a common platform where all the former ministers for local governance, former chief directors responsible for local, they are all going to be consulted. When it comes to local governance, we have the Honorable Joseph Yelichre, the Honorable Ofusampofo, the Honorable Oponfoso, the Honorable Matiaje Mensah-Kosa, the Honorable Damboche, Haji Alima. We have a number of former ministers for local governance. They all wanted to do something small, they couldn't complete it. In the same way, we have former chief directors. They all wanted to do something, they couldn't complete it. We will practice what we call administrative continuity. We'll bring all those people together in an informal way so that the nation will benefit from the opportunity that they were given when they were in office. There are little things that we can do, and I believe there will be a change, and there will be a very fruitful democratic dividends, so that DCEs will not just become protocol officers. They attend funerals, attend programs, attend workshops, and come and see they're waiting for Accra to bring them money. We'll move beyond that. Thank you.
Brilliant. Now, there are some peculiar problems with some assemblies, and I'll cite my district to make the point. The problem is in demarcating the administrative jurisdictions for some of these assemblies. Some traditional areas are bifurcated into 2. So for instance, if you take the southern districts, Kweve is my district capital. If you get to Kweve, half of Kweve lies in Afajato South, the town, and half constitutes the district capital for Southern. One community, but divided into 2, like the colonial masters did for us, and we're crying. But we have also done it to some traditional areas. So how are we going to tackle that? And let me add, if you go to the other side of Southern, when we were under Pando, the Dedo was part of Southern. But when Southern was carved out of Pando as a district, somehow the Dedo now falls under the administrative jurisdiction of whole West, even though it's a Peki community. And the Peki people, my people, I'm their MP. We've submitted petitions, just like Beve also did, for that to be corrected. It's taking forever. And I know that having gone around this country in our public accounts work, we've encountered this in several other areas. So how do we streamline this so that peculiar traditional areas fall within peculiar administrative jurisdictions of districts?
Mr. Chairman, this is something we must give critical look at. Boundary dispute is real. I have visited a number of district assemblies in my 17 years or 16 or more in this parliament, and it is a time bomb. Ghana as a country used to play with boundary issues, and it was not until 2010 that, being a member in this house, when we had critical problem with Cote d'Ivoire, that we formed the Ghana Boundary Commission. And you know that is only responsible for international boundaries. But when it comes to the internal boundaries, there's a shortcoming in that regard. So when given the nod, it is an aspect that a critical look must be taken. Thank God we are bringing our distinguished and revered chiefs on board who are privy to these physical boundaries and barriers. So clearly, one, there will be a lot of consultations and some technical brains must be put together to make sure that we address that issue. The reason why it keeps on increasing and increasing is that we create some districts, we don't finish redrawing the district boundaries, geographical boundaries, then we create other ones. So we keep on compounding that problem. But I believe, as a country, time is of essence to make sure that we know our internal boundaries. And, Mr. Chairman, we have a lot of surveyors in this country, a number of them trained. So I don't think it will be a difficult thing for us to do if we want to realign our boundary distance. But one critical thing is that when it comes to constituencies, it doesn't fall within the jurisdiction of the minister responsible for local government. That lies within the purview of the electoral commissioner. Until the electoral commission create his constituencies, the minister cannot be saying that, oh, I will redraw this or redraw that. Secondly, Article 47 is clear. That's for electoral commission. As for the duration for the creation of those things to, is 7 years or after population census. So if I sit here and say, oh, we will redraw the district boundaries or electoral boundaries, I may not. But the existing ones can be rechecked and make sure that there is a district map for every district. But that will also need time. There are very critical issues, and this is a national security issue matter. So I believe it must be looked at. But I can't promise either this year or next year. But for now, we identify it as a problem.
Beautiful. Now, one of the recurrent problems that auditors flag in respect of Assembly's work is an issue where Yabuama already touched on it, but I'm getting back to it, where commission revenue collectors, they will go to the centers, collect the revenues from our poor market women. Even when their sales are not good, they'll still collect. If you want to build, they say stop work, produce permits. They go and pay permit fee. They'll collect the money, but they will not account for it. Oftentimes, they abscond with the revenues collected. And Auditor General will make recommendations, retrieve the money and prosecute. It's never done. Will you consider, as part of your new policy directives for the ministry, to ask that assemblies in recruiting revenue collectors, they should have guarantors? Somebody must guarantee before you are made to collect revenues on behalf of the assembly. So when the person absconds, there's somebody to be held responsible for. Will you consider that?
Mr. Chairman, it must be seriously considered. And now that the owners of the land and the owners of the district have been brought on board, I think those things must be things of the past. And that's why I said revenue collectors will account openly to the district for us to see the electoral areas that are performing and those that are underperforming. These are critical areas that we must all look at. If a revenue collector or a commission revenue collector has come with the money, whose money do you think he's running away with? It's your money. And therefore, we must all make sure that we fish for them. So when the chiefs have been brought on board, and you bring stricter and rigid measures regarding revenue collection, and the IGF is used for something concrete for people to see, I think there will be improvement. But when you go and collect the revenue, the people don't see what you have used with the revenue IGF locally. Tomorrow, when you go, will you get? The answer is no. So we must start a new thing. Give ourselves some time. Look at the returns of our effort. If it is good, we move ahead. If no, then we change our steps. But you can't be doing the same thing and expect a different result. There must be a new reset.
Thank you very much. Let me conclude by saying that I like the points in respect of the chieftaincy issues, where you are proposing that lawyers from the Office of the Attorney General will be seconded to the various traditional councils to assist them in their work. It will be such a major policy shift, because the decisions from the judicial committees of traditional councils actually settles a lot of chieftaincy disputes all the way to the Supreme Court. So that proposal, if you are able to do it, will be a major thing that will bring comfort to our chiefs and queen matters. Yeah. And I want to thank you for that innovative idea. I thank you for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
And once more, congratulations. Ms. Ru Onehao.
Honorable Ahmed, my brother,
and leader.
Congratulations.
Thank you, leader.
I entered this parliament in 2009 with you. We were over 100 members. Today, I think we are, that 2009 group, we are 4 of us. It's me, you, Honorable Atufos, and I'm remembering, and Honorable Bejra. That should tell you about the attrition of parliament. And it also must tell you what it takes to sustain being a member of parliament. You have been a deputy whip, and when we were fortunate to be part of leadership, your experience was really very valuable in guiding us. You have been very passionate about the issues of local government.
Thank you.
And so there is no doubt in my mind that you are going to be very successful as a local government minister. Now, what is exciting about this new role, and that brings me to the very important question I have for you, has to do with the role of chiefs. You know that chiefs has been really the governor has been with the chiefs at the local level since the beginning. And so when we started going this path in democracy, I think that what has always come up has to do with what we can do to really get our chiefs involved in local governance. This ministry, I'm sure, has been put this way for a purpose. Can you share with us some of the things you will do to really get our chiefs to be active at the local governance level?
Thank you, my leader and my very good brother. There are so many things we do together with our chiefs. Mr. Chairman, you are not far from right when you said traditionally our chiefs used to be the development agents and leaders in their various jurisdictions until the modern governance came. So the merger or the fusion of traditional governance and modern governance is going to be of great benefit to this country. Mr. Chairman, there will be a common interface, not only with chiefs, traditional leaders, and modern leaders, traditional governance and modern governance, but together with one other sensitive area, that's our pastors, imams, religious leaders, and faith-based leaders, who I always describe as eminent social capital in this country. More often than not, we tend to overlook their effort. But until we bring their culture as part of our development culture, we will not get to the destination where we are going to. Because we have professors who are pastors, professors who are chiefs, engineers who are pastors, engineers who are chiefs. So if it happens that wherever those people are posted to, if you bring that common interface, so that every district will bring the chiefs, the pastors, the DCEs, and the MPs together as a in the development forum, they will be able to identify the basic needs of those jurisdictions. And Mr. Chairman, with a little push from the center, most of these problems will be solved, rather than allowing only the DCE and saying that he is the overall president representatives and everybody is waiting for him to do something for them to see. That is why we were not going at the speed that we were expected to go. So the vision of His Excellency the President is to make sure that he gives the baton back, or the key back, to the original owners. He is not saying that I'm going to do away with DCEs, but he has recognized the development contribution of our traditional authorities and our faith-based leaders. And that is why he's merging the two. So I practically understand it, and I'm going to build upon it. That is one effective thing that we are going to do.
Thank you, Honorable Ahmed.
Thank you,
a lot of issues I have. I'm just going to mention them. Take note of them as issues that must really concern you. One has to do with the role of assembly members and how we build their capacity at that local level. You know, for example, some DCEs for over a year will not even call for assembly meetings. Assembly members were weakened, especially based on some of the experience I've had. And oftentimes their communities they represent have blamed them that they are not performing. Exactly the things we must do to strengthen assembly members must engage you. The issue of market management, markets, you know, the issue of market fires and the challenges we have there must be an issue that must really get the attention of the district assembly and the district DCEs. That must be something that we must come up with pragmatic measures to address. And there are also districts that, frankly, must be a second look must be taken at for us to see how we can break them up, because they are too huge, even now as we speak, generally speaking. So those are issues that I think we must really concern you. Honorable Ahmed, those are not questions. I want you to take a note of them. But to say that I'm very, very proud of you. You've come a long way. There's no doubt that you succeed. As an elder and a brother in Christ, I know that the Lord will guide you to succeed. Congratulations.
Thank you, Leader.
Congratulations, Honorable Ahmed. He was accompanied by very distinguished guests, paramount chiefs, that at this point I will now be privileged to introduce. Okay. So I will introduce the paramount chiefs and the distinguished that accompanied Honorable Ahmed. What is this?
His Royal Majesty.
His Royal Majesty Odinoho Dr. Fra Brempong III, Omahin Suma Traditional Council, representation of Bono House of Chiefs. Chiefs, you're welcome. We have Warden Noti King, Prof. Odafia Walenti, the third paramount chief, Nungwa Traditional Area, and President Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs. Is a representative of the National House of Chiefs as well. You are welcome, Nana. The third is we have Osajifu and Eya Mampong, Mamprako the third, Wenchi Mahin, representative of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs. Nana, you are welcome. We also have Apostle Emmanuel Tete. You are welcome. We have the Church of Pentecost Pastor Emmanuel Kuku Apia, Sakuma District Pastor is here. Ambassador Kwajo Yamichebafo, Honorable, my former regional minister, you're welcome. Ms. Gifty Ibrahim Ahmed, Madam, thank you so much for the support. Nana Libi Watu Banda Traditional Council representative, you're welcome. We have Nana Jato II. Banda Traditional Council, Nana, you're welcome. Nana Pe Abuatia II, Bamuhini, Banda Traditional Council, you're welcome. Nana Kaka Bakon, Banda Traditional Council. Nana Hanteli Obrempohini, Banda Traditional Council. Alhaji Sunkwa of Kumasi, you're welcome. Awulai Angama Tuajan, of Mahine of Jura Traditional Area in the Zima East area. Nana, you are welcome. Nana Etia Kradi, the second chief of Jura Banso in the Zima area, my own area. Nana, you are welcome. Togbe Awusagba Bakwa, the second chief Gui Akanyan Krom, you are welcome. Akanyakro, okay, you are welcome. Hajia Ramata. Mom, God bless you. Okuji Abo Bankwadi Osiakwahini of Bada Traditional Council, you are welcome. Honorable Kwesi Kofi Kra Pauline, the MP, La Côte d'Ivoire, President of the Evaluation Commission, Public Policies, cousin of Honorable Ahmed.
For politics.
Ahmed, also will be yours. Come and join me. Amin Abdul Rahman, you're welcome. And then we have the Chief Director of the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Now, as it is now, and all the officials that came with them. You are all welcome. Nominee, you are discharged. Thank you.